Right.
are planning to crash their own Federal Reserve, they will blame it on us who are trying to crash the Federal Reserve. And when it happens, it will make our economy 10 times worse than the crashes, the worldwide depression of the 30s. And it will change everything, change all the economy again to their hand. They come back up the heroes.
Right.
That's their thesis and antithesis. They come back with the synthesis.
Problem, reaction, solution is the
Right.
dialectic.
So here they create the problem, which is the Federal Reserve. Then they show everybody that the Federal Reserve is the problem, so they crash it. Then they come back with their solution, which is the same day and under the same ownership but a different vehicle. And it's the same thing with the Federal Reserve. We want to destroy the Federal Reserve, but when we do that, it's so ingrained in our economy that when we kill it, we kill our economy and we sign our own death warrant. When the Federal Reserve goes down, there still goes bankrupt. There are nations, Germany and China and Japan in particular, but those along with Britain own our nation, which is whenever you have a bankruptcy, everything that is in the bankruptcy, everything that's owned by the bankrupt agent goes to somebody. It goes to shareholders. And who are the shareholders? It's the people who own, who possess the FRNs, the Federal.
Right on. Back again, guys. Here we go. Here we go. True Spasm Media. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Bring more people. Come play in sense making. And be your own guide. Think for yourself. I think that's probably the best way forward. People ask me a lot of times, like, Sean, what do you follow? What do you follow? I've had people say this a lot over the years. I'm not saying that I'm so special, though I probably am. It's just that I've paid attention to all these sides of the media and the biases, everything that exists within it for quite a while. And I think it's appropriate that we do. And if you've learned anything from Yuri Bezmenov and Geoward Griffin here, it's that we have to be aware more than ever. And you can't just put your head in the sand, because if you do, what will happen is things will happen to you whether you like it or not. You do have a say over some of these things, but if you never speak up, then you'll never have a say. And when I say speak up, I'm talking about what we're doing right here, and we're just making sense together. There's action you can take, and there's all kinds of things you can do to build your communities and build your local supply chains and become a healthy member of your neighborhood, build deep bonds with the people around you, and spread love, joy, and the ability to care for yourself, to be truly self-sustainable. That's what they say they want. And when I say they, I mean many of these technocratic financial elites. Those ones specifically. Maybe they do. I can tell you one thing. Calgary has a pastor, and he's been labeled a few different things. We're going to go through some of this stuff here. I'm going to try to rip through this because I did a take earlier to see if my new setup was going to be good, and it looks like it's going to be great. It looks like it's going to be great, so we're excited. And like, share, subscribe, always. So, one of these articles here, this guy is described as like a MAGA pastor. Where is it? Oh, no. Oh, Canadian MAGA pastor arrested as he returns home after spreading COVID lies in the U.S. So basically, looks like this guy was like a Trump supporter or something like that. I'm not even 100%. I haven't seen anything other than him meeting Eric Trump to actually prove that he's like a big Trump supporter. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Doesn't really matter. But he was arrested upon return to Canada, Calgary to be specific. Let's take a look at that article. He was rearrested because he had been arrested before, from what I gather, for being open and having his church ceremonies and stuff like that. I think he was pretty outspoken about it. I'm not sure if this is the guy that yelled at the people calling them Nazis and all that. Actually, now that I think of it, this might be that guy. Feel free to leave a comment below, like, subscribe, share, and let us know if that's this guy. His name is y'all Pawlowski. Is it? Oh, his brother's Dawid. Is it really Dawid, or is that a typo? Pawlowski. Artur Pawlowski is the guy. And, we got a little video here somewhere, I think, in here. Yeah. Let's do a little. So they went to the Pastor Artur Pawlowski was arrested today at the airport in Calgary after he returned from a 4-month tour of the U.S., where he was darling of MAGA media. I want to know who specifically MAGA media is. Is it Fox? Because Fox went way against him during elections, so it would be funny if some people call Fox MAGA media. But there are the other, like, was it One Max, and then or Newsmax, and I think there's another one. They're like pretty hard. Trump. Yeah. Oh, something falling. And they magically appeared like during elections. Very pro-Trump. But anyways, let's watch this real quick. This guy, he just like gets on his knees. It's like, nope. Nope. They're all very stubborn ass people. This guy's a pastor, so he's supposed to be a man of God. I haven't seen anything other than him yelling, get out Nazis, and that really wasn't bad. It was just him yelling, get out Nazis, because they were trying to shut down his church. I mean, I can't say I blame the guy all that much. I'm not like out here promoting him or anything. I don't know him. I mean, he's up there like trying to schmooze it up with Eric Trump, who kind of looks weird. Not gonna lie. Of course, Ron Filipkowski. Ron is pissed about Pawlowski. He goes, of course, he also made several appearances on Fox. Fist bumping with Trump. I was talking with Eric Trump and suddenly extended his fist. Really? He's a little bit too excited to be fist bumping with Eric Trump. I would, any of these people try to fist bump me, I would swallow their fist with my hand. Do the proper. There was some good stuff in here. What is it? Oh, yeah, this is Pawlowski making some comments. He, in court, so they arrested this guy. He's in court. What was the amount that he had to pay? He had to pay some ridiculous amount. The court was also asked to fine the controversial conservative pastor they throw it in as like an insult, like this controversial conservative pastor. It's like people who are conservative, people who are truly conservative, if you've known any really conservative people, they're not like crazy violent people, or they're generally very kind people. Uh, I think when people think of conservatives, they think, because I know I was programmed to think this way when I was younger, and I didn't understand until I started like deconstructing my understanding of what like it means to be conservative. And a conservative person is generally pretty gentle. They don't want confrontations and stuff like that. Um, Not saying there's not some badass ones out there who will stuff your face into a garbage can if you say the wrong thing, because some things that you say to people might deserve that. But yeah, it's funny to see it used as like a derogatory thing. The court was also asked to fine the controversial conservative pastor $2,000 and exact $15,000 in costs. Global News reported. A ruling from the court is expected October 13th. He claimed that Alberta Health Services and the quote-unquote politicians have found new ways of penalizing anyone that is opposing their unconstitutional medical tyranny. They hate the idea that they could have been exposed for what they really are, liars, hypocrites, and cheaters, unquote. In quotes. I have heard from my grandparents about similar tactics from the time of Nazis persecuting churches and the clergy. He added, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. According, they're trying to make, it's an angle here. According to the National Post, Canada has fallen. Sure, you can lock us up, throw away the key, but our political imprisonment will shout even louder about the hypocrisy. True. This is a civil proceeding that is designed. Actually, I want to make a note right there. That is important. The people shouting loud, the important thing is that people aren't just booping and bobbing their heads out, but that they're actually working together as far as if you have something to say, organize, coordinate so that you can stand up and say it all at once, whatever it is you have to say. This is a civil proceeding that is designed to compel compliance with the court orders, and that is exactly what has occurred. As far as general deterrence, they had been deterred. They have spent their time in jail, Ms. Miller told the National Post. A fine is more than reasonable to sanction either of the Pawlowskis in this case. There's no need to put them into incarceration. So he got arrested, and then they're just like, give us $20,000. Just give us that money. Oh, this was a good one. This is LGBTQ Nation. Pastor who said floods are God's punishment for homosexuality arrested on tarmac. So I want to go through a little bit of this. Just because to see the different, this is what I like to do, guys. I like to see all the different takes and stances so we can really get an understanding of what's going on. And especially if we have an understanding of like different rules in psychology, different methods and tactics in psychology, and in philosophy as well, and so on. Because then you start to understand the frames and the reframes, and you start to look at things through all the different lenses and get an understanding for where people are coming from. And this probably is one of the better ways that, in my opinion, this is one of the better ways that you're going to analyze any news. And people don't have time for this, so I don't blame them for not doing this. I've just made a habit of it since I was, young, since I was like 20 years old. And the more you learn, the more you understand. So that's the thing with it when you're going to start analyzing media, analyzing news, is that you shouldn't do it with a bias. You should try to be as unbiased as possible from the drop. That way, what you say to people is going to come across a lot of different ways. So a lot of people won't know how to take it because they've been programmed to like believe in a dialectic that makes them go against other people, and that they're not actually enemies with, but they've just been told that those are bad people, and that's this is all psychology. So if you are going to start to review media, I recommend you do it um, throughout the day. Don't do it all at once, and maybe take like 15 minutes 3 different times a day, and be willing to review like a few different things, something like that. I do it a lot more than that, but that's just because I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoy figuring out things, and like deconstructions and reconstructions, and studying all these different lenses, these frames, these ideologies, the propaganda, everything, the psychology that goes into it. I just like this stuff in general as far as seeing it. I mean, you can't like unsee certain things once you see it, so it becomes really fascinating because you actually start understanding things on a level that most people don't, and they won't unless they actually choose to pay attention and choose to do this kind of thing. Anywho, the anti-LGBTQ extremist has been flouting pandemic restrictions for the past year, turning his dangerous behavior into new Fox News appearances and speaking tour, of all things, Fox News appearances. These people really dislike Fox News, and it becomes clear when I talk to people who are liberal, Democrat, left. Fox is like the first thing they always bring up, and if you've ever watched Fox or referred to Fox, they're just gonna write you off. Right? It's just like the right, like writing off CNN. But in my opinion, and I've been studying these two channels since 9/11, the CNN has allowed itself to go off the rails in a sense of like outright lying constantly, and never and always pretending to be non-biased when they're clearly like the most biased. They're the biggest Maushevicks I've seen. As far as like state media stuff goes, it's not even state media. Like at that point, it's like like technocratic oligarch media, but it happens to work in the state's favor. Anywho, let's get back to this. A viciously anti-LGBTQ pastor was arrested on the tarmac as he exited a plane in Canada after turning the U.S. To spread COVID-19 misinformation on a contempt of court charge. Let's see if there's anything different here. Boop doop. Thought there was something funny in here. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, we'll try this. Pawlowski is notorious for his anti-LGBTQ extremism. They throw that word in. I wonder. So this is a brand new article. Huh. I'll have to go through this, see how often they're using that term. It's really interesting. I mean, people, this is propaganda. Like, no matter which end you're on, like, this is all propaganda. Like Calgary News, Yahoo News. Yahoo's terrible because they just take everyone else's. They just pick up stuff from everywhere else. They barely ever have their own content. When they do, it's really bad because I think they just hire any writer. I'm not super familiar with this LGBTQ Nation page, but it's obviously LGBTQ propaganda, and they're labeling this guy an extremist. It's dangerous territory. The reason why I'm even mentioning this is if you were to start labeling LGBTQ people as extremists just for being pro LGBTQ, like then okay, now you start to get into terror management there. It's like, why wouldn't both camps want to exterminate each other? Because that's where that type of thing goes. I'm not like, what I'm saying is we want to avoid that. We clearly want to avoid that. We don't want people going after each other because they think they want to end each other's lives. They just should leave each other the heck alone. Writing on the Street Church website that the 2013 Alberta floods were God's punishment for the perversions of homosexuality, which includes the walking out the pride of their abominations in the streets of our cities. Oh, I don't think I saw that part earlier. That is like, it's a bit much. Perversions of homosexuality, which he he could just chill on. I mean, he could chill on that a little bit. He could just, if he wanted to, he could just be like, "Hey, why don't you like not like do it in our kids' faces or something like that?" Pride of their abominations. Whoa, yeah, it's an intense comment. Soon after, a local conservative leader was embroiled in controversy for getting his picture taken with Pawlowski. Messages said gay people, quote unquote, are not ashamed to declare the name of their master, Satan. Whoa. And in the same way, not concerned with provoking greatly the wrath of the living God. That's a bit much. So I mean, this stuff's a little intense. I didn't read those ones earlier. But it should be like noted what some of these parades are as far as like trying to recruit kids and stuff like that. That's not okay. 2017, he organized a Defense of Christianity rally that turned violent. Pawlowski invited an anti-gay activist who was prosecuted under Canada's hate speech laws for distributing pamphlets entitled "Sodomites in Our Public Schools." Huh. I remember reading that earlier, and I laughed at it a little bit more. But I wonder what was in that pamphlet. I wonder if anyone knows what that pamphlet is. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know. Like, subscribe, share. Do it all. Do it all, guys. Yeah, so this is that. Anywho, pastor got arrested in Canada. That's where we're at. That's happening. We know that Canada, kind of is now using corporate social credit scores that the CCP modeled. So Canada's on its way towards being a complete arm of the CCP, China, which is totally nutty, in my opinion, because it means they're pushing for influence here now, like heavy influence. And I don't know if you guys are aware of some of the atrocious things that go on over in China in the CCP, whether it's like the black jails, the dark jails, where they just snatch people up and throw them in these places that they rent for like weeks at a time, months at a time, years at a time. They just snatch people out of wherever, just for whatever, for stuff like this, for just like talking out stuff, just speaking your mind. That's like where Canada is going to end up if it keeps going down this path. That's why that matters. You don't have to care. No one has to care. But I think some people do at this point, and I think some people are starting to wake up and see where this thing is going. I'm probably a more moderate voice. Some people would call me far right. Some people would call me far left, which is weird. I've been called all kinds of things. It's pretty funny. What I am doesn't matter. I think I'm all over this, a little bit all over the spectrum at times. But it just goes to show that it doesn't really matter, how you're labeling someone, as long as you can get to know them, as long as you can actually understand them, and you're not using bad faith to move forth in this world. All right, guys, stay tuned and check out one of the next videos. We're going to start talking about Australia and the protests over there and what they're doing. I want you all to subscribe if you haven't already, to like this video, and to share this with someone you think might enjoy it. If there's any points that we touched on that you think will be useful for someone to hear us talk about, then by all means, share it up. We are going to keep doing all that stuff.
Federal Reserve notes. They are in the possession of the Chinese, the Japanese, the Germans, and the British. So they own our nation. Our nation and the labor of our own labor was the particles of the last bankruptcy, which was FDR in 1933. And we became the assurity for the bankruptcy. And our gold became the assurity for the bankruptcy, which is why we had to go off of the gold standard in 1934. And owning gold became a crime. You own gold, then you could be fined $10,000 and incarcerated in prison, in their debtor prison for 10 years, up to 10 years. So people turned in all their gold. So the gold went to England to pay off the bankruptcy. And now they are wanting to bring back, it's they who want to bring back the gold standard. Because it's through gold and silver that they manipulate everything. Well, they crashed the gold standard in 34, January 34, through their agent, their communist agent, FDR, and were able to go strictly on paper. Well, now we're not even going by paper, we're just going by zeros in the computers. Right.
$772 trillion owed to China and Japan, and they built the Federal Reserve System. They're going to want to collect that money, and also abandon the use of the Federal Reserve as the world's reserve currency, and the home prices will multiply by 4 times the price of gasoline and everything else, and will go into a permanent depression.
Or maybe 10 times.
Oh, yeah, 10 times.
So, let me ask you a couple of things. One,
Soros's father was a lawyer. During the Nazi occupation, he bought his family forged papers and bribed an official who then claimed Soros was his Christian godson.